Hi there, and welcome back to the Mind Circus podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bartos. And today I have Diane from Dogs in Focus Photography joining us today, all the way from the UK. And she's going to talk all about her Mind Circus, as well as how she got started in photography, which is actually photographing motorcycles. Yep, motorcycles. And then how she transitioned into becoming a pet photographer. I know you're going to enjoy her story, so let the circus begin.
Welcome to the Mind Circus podcast, where we uncover the topsy-turvy thoughts of those we call creatives. The Mind Circus can be entertaining and daunting, but we need to uncover ways to be the ringmaster of our own Mind Circus. If you want to hear real stories from creatives who've plunged into the black abyss of the Mind Circus and managed to become the ringmaster, then join our host, Karen Bartos, a photographer, entrepreneur, and creative ringleader, as she'll ask direct questions to help listeners understand and be inspired to master their own Mind Circus and reach new levels of success. So find a seat and let's be part of the circus. Now here's your host, Karen Bartos.
Hi, Diane. Good morning. I wanted to thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And you are coming to us all the way from the UK, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your business, when you started it, the business name. Just give us a little bit of background.
Yeah. So originally we had another photography business. We still have it. So I started it with my partner, that volume photography business, and that's still on. Although now I'm trying to focus more on the dog side. So we had this photography business, and I had this really expensive gear, obviously. And I was like, I already had this little dog, Dougal, and I was like, if I have this really expensive gear, why don't I take photograph of my dog? And I started doing it, and I just loved it. I found the hair of the dog really quickly. Then I found Charlotte, and after a while, Charlotte Reeves started Unleashed Education with Craig Turner Bullock, so I joined. So I just became better and better, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, yeah, well, I would rather photograph dogs all day, every day, than photograph motorcycle, which was our original business. So this is how it went.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you made that transition. So what year did you decide to say, okay, I'm really going to focus on photographing dogs? Do you remember what year that was?
Yes, because it was in 2022, so not too long ago.
Wow, not too long ago. So you have really hit the ground running. I mean, your work is absolutely beautiful. You've been published in, right? Tell us about that.
Um, yeah, so yeah, so because I'm a perfectionist, I wanted to make sure that before I start taking money from people for photographing their dogs, I really know what I'm doing. So so that's why I did not start it as a business earlier. I started photographing my own dog in 2019. And then I was just like, my work is not good enough. My work is still not good enough. And then the reason actually I started to, I was like, it's enough. I need to start to taking money, was that there was another photographer who started around the same time as I did. And I didn't, I don't think her work was any good. I mean, mine wasn't good either, so it's not like so for the white balance wasn't good in any of her pictures, and it just really bugged me. And at some point, she was like, in April, I think she said, "Oh, I'm fully booked for the summer." And I was like, my good is at least my work is at least as good as hers. So I start to taking clients, because I'm not going to be any better if I'm only photographing my dog. So that was when I was like, I really need to take this to the next level. And I don't need to wait for any more awards to start the business. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we talk about this in the Elevate group all the time about the mind drama. I call it the mind circus. So you were saying my work is not good enough. That's what you were
I
telling yourself.
Yes, I was like, I can't take people's money because my work is not good enough. I don't know whether I can get pictures of their dogs. Although I was already helping at a behavior center as a training assistant, and I know more about dogs than most dog photographers. So um, and I was like, still, I can't take people's money because I don't know whether I will be able to produce the work that I can of my own dogs.
Oh my gosh. I find this fascinating. I mean, you're so talented, but yet you were all in your mind. It was all up here. So would you say it was comparing your work to this other photographer that flipped the switch for you? Was it talking to other people? Was it being an Elevate, or was it a combination of all of those things that kind of added up to say, yes, Diane, you need to do this?
I think it was the combination of all of these, and that yeah, people were starting to say that my work is gorgeous and it's not as bad as I think it is. And I think that was that, and I think that the feeling that I'm missing out on something because this girl was just like I mean I'm really thankful to her because she like kicked me out of this oh, I'm not good enough, I need to improve mindset. So I think that everything together added up. And you know what's the really interesting thing is that I tell you how we started our other business, because that's going to be a really interesting comparison. So in our other business, we are photographing motorcycles on the roadside. So we set up at a bend at a public road. We wait people to pass us. We photograph them. We put them on a website, and they can buy it from there. How it all started, but is the interesting thing. So there is a company that does the same thing in Hungary, and a friend of my partner was like, "Oh, I just saw this company, and I think it's a brilliant idea. You don't you want to do that in the UK?" And my partner was like, he was telling me this stuff, and I was like, "Yes, we should do that." And at that point, we did not have a camera. We didn't know anything about photography. We just had this business idea. And my partner has a friend who's a professional photographer back in Hungary at a very high level. And he asked him, what gear should we buy? And he was like, right out of the gate, buy a Canon 7D Mark II and a 70-200. And that's what we did. And we didn't know anything. We barely knew how to turn on that camera. And at that point, there was no question in my mind. I mean, he was a bit like he wasn't 100% sure about this business idea, but I was like, that's the greatest idea ever. People are gonna love it, and they're going to buy it and everything. And at that point, there was no question in my mind that they are going to buy our pictures and that we are going to make a lot of money. Well, at that point, I didn't know that I'm going to quit my day job, but that wasn't the point then. So comparing that to that, when I started to photograph dogs, and I was like, oh, do people really want these pictures? I mean, that's
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. So when you did the motorcycle business, you weren't all up in your head. You were like, let's go. So why do you think the difference? Do you know why the difference, that you were so eager to do the motorcycles, but yet when it came to dogs, you were a little more apprehensive. Do you know what the difference was?
I was just thinking about this recently, and I think the biggest problem is that I love dogs. I don't care about motorcycles. So that's a business. That's a business. And I'm doing a business, I'm paid, and that's fair enough. But paying me for doing what I love is just sounds unfair.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's so interesting. So it was because you love dogs so much, you probably felt like it was a part of you
Yeah.
that you're putting out there for people to judge and say, Diane, I don't like that picture, which means you're going to in turn take that to be, you don't like me. You don't like that picture. You don't like me.
Yeah.
Would you say that was fair?
Yeah, yeah, partly yes, but the bigger part was like there is when I grew up, I was always told that your job is not for you to enjoy it. Your job is for you to make a living, and you can have hobbies, and that's fine. You can enjoy your hobbies, but you cannot really enjoy your work. So that's why I felt that if I'm having fun, that I'm not entitled to get the money for it. Yeah, I
Wow.
think.
Wow. And so give us a little bit of history too. You grew up in Hungary, is that correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay. And how long did you live there?
Well, 30 years. 30 years, yes. So I moved to the UK with my partner when I was 30, just a month before my 30th birthday. So I've been living in the UK for over 10 years now. And yeah, with a bit of math, you can figure out that I'm over 40 now.
You don't look over 40. So what attracted you to the UK?
Well, so it happened that I always wanted to live outside of Hungary, because Hungary is a miserable country to live in, and I really mean it. So the whole culture and everything, it's just really gloomy, depressive, and everything. But I wasn't brave enough to move alone. And then when I came together with my partner, then his sister moved to London when we were together for a couple of months. And then he just, out of interest, he had a look what he could earn in the UK in his job, in his profession. And the starting salary was 3 times the money than in Hungary what he could earn as an experienced technician. So that was a no-brainer at that point. So we had a bit of a preparation, but we've been together for 10 months when we moved to the UK and started basically a new life here. So.
Oh my goodness, that's a great story. And then, okay, so you're now photographing dogs. Are you doing motorcycles at all, or is it full on dogs?
Yeah, we still have the business, and in the business we have 6 other photographers. So it's a nationwide. Yeah, it's nationwide because it's UK wide. So we have a photographer in Scotland and one in Wales as well. So I personally, from this year, I personally probably not going to photograph any more motorcycles. If we go out, it's going to be my partner who's going to do that. Obviously, because we are doing long shifts normally, so obviously, if he needs to go for a wee or needs to eat something, I can always take over. But I'm not going to go out to do a whole day of shoot as I did previously, because I really want to concentrate on dogs. But the other guys are going to go out and photograph for us, for the company. So until we can close the business, that bit is going to run.
Okay. So you have a plan. Now, so when you started photographing dogs, did you jump straight to in-person sales, the beautiful wall art? Did you dabble with just digitals, or you took the advice of other pet photographers and went straight to beautiful wall art and in-person sales?
Well, I did something in the middle, which I don't recommend to anyone. So I did in-person sale, and I did wall art, but because I thought that this type of wall art that you see behind me, for example, that is too expensive, I got a wall art that I'm not a big fan of it, but it's cheaper. And I wasn't doing the 4 times. I wasn't doing 25 percent cost of goods sold at that point. I started with around 50. So, but I always knew that I need eventually raise those prices. I thought that I'm going to get some practice, and when I feel more confident, then I'm going to raise my prices. But eventually, I had. So before COVID, that was before COVID. I wanted to start the dog business before COVID, and I did start it under a different name. But during COVID, I realized that I don't like the name, I don't like the branding, and that it's not going to go as I want. So you probably know Kirsty McConnell from the Pet Photographers Club. She had a business boot camp in 2022. It was a 12, she calls it the business challenge, the Pet Photographers business challenge, and I did that challenge, and eventually she was the one who convinced me that I really need to be profitable, and I really need to the math was the same as in the hair of the dog. It just was like, because it was more like personal, more it was a small group. There were the 4 of us. So, and I was like, well, heck yes, I give it a try. And it's really interesting because with the motorcycles, when we first started in 2018, our prices were higher than are now. And it was like the logic behind it was like, we start high, and if it is not going well, then we can always reduce the price. It was like, it's easier to reduce the price than to increase it. And I think that was a brilliant decision, because very soon we decided we need to decrease the prices. And since then we raised it again, but it's still not at that point where it was originally. And I think it's hilarious that my mind worked very well. I was so business orientated with that business when we started, and I was so focused, and I was so logical. And as soon as it's something that I love and I want to do, and I want to be good at, and I want to serve people and give people a brilliant experience, as soon as I start to doubt my proper business logic.
Yeah. So like you said it perfectly, because you cared about it so much and because it was personal, your mind threw up all these doubts in your head. And
Yeah.
but you have definitely worked through them. I mean, I see you. I mean, you've been published in newspapers. So how do you think you have begun to get out of your own head and really start to move forward?
It's so funny that you say that, because yesterday I had some sales sessions for I photographed for guide dogs. They were called guide dogs for the blind. So they are a charity training assistant dogs for blind people. And I did fundraising sessions for them, which means that all the session fee went directly to the charity, and it also included the print, so and the matching digital. So if they want to just get away with the print and the digital, then I don't earn anything, and that's absolutely fine. And yesterday I had not the first, but two sessions with 2 visually impaired person and for their assistant dogs. And unfortunately, one of the dogs, it's also an end of life session, so she has weeks to live. And they were so happy, so glad, and gave me money. Well, not my normal session average, but they still gave me, a reasonable amount of money. Oh, and actually, this was the sessions that were published recently in the newspaper. And in the evening, I came home and I told my partner that I'm a horrible person for taking money from these people, because I should just support the charity and not taking money from the people who are actually having those dogs to the charity. And he was like, he said what every sensible people would say, that if you are not taking their money, you are not going to be able to support the charity. So in order to provide these experiences, these pictures to these people, you really need to take money. And that was how what I needed to turn over in my head when I was starting to charge these high prices. I mean, high, what's high for me might not be high for other people. But that's what I was thinking, that I need to do this. I need to have these prices because I want to provide an exceptional experience. And in order to do that, I will need these prices, because I want to spoil my customers. I want to buy them gifts. I want to give them. I don't want to limit the session, the time of the session. I really don't like when dog photographers say that, okay, this much money for 1 hour, this much money for 2 hours, because you don't know the dog. So anyone who has like a nervous or anxious dog, they were like, oh, what if my dog won't behave? Do I need to pay more just because my dog is nervous? And you feel really terrible right out of the gate before even booking that person. So I never wanted to do that. And and after a lot of bad talk from myself, from Kirsty, from Heather, and from Nicole as well, I mainly most of the time I'm okay with that. Again, it never seems to go away, because just yesterday I had this really bad mind drama.
Yes, it never seems to go away. And that's what, that's what I shouldn't say I love about the mind circus or the mind drama, because it never goes away. And, my analogy is the mind circus has a permanent permit to operate in your mind. It's not going anywhere. And the sooner you can learn to deal with it, the better off you will be. And it seems, Diane, you've only been in business, a little over a year, and look what you have accomplished already. What you have done, it takes a lot of photographers years to do, and you have done this in a very short amount of time. So kudos to you. You're obviously very aware of your mind circus and your mind drama, and you deal with it. It might take you a little while, but you deal with it. So, moving forward, you're only going to get better at dealing with it.
Yeah, that's what I hope for.
Yeah. So is there anything, when you look back on your motorcycle business, is there anything from that business that prepared you for your current dog business? Looking back, is there any skill in particular, any experience that prepared you for your dog business today?
Yeah. So dealing with the volume business, dealing with those type of customers, I really knew that I don't want cheap customers. And that's just not how I want to operate. Because with the motorcycle business, what the amount of customer service I needed to do for that little money, sometimes I was like, it's really too much. So that was one thing. So obviously most of the customers, because it again, I didn't have to do customer service unless something went wrong. So most customers were like really easy. They just went online, bought their pictures, and that's it. I never heard of them. But the ones that were emailing and asking questions is one thing, but telling me that I'm we are too expensive when we are charging like $990 for, it was $980 for one digital download, a full resolution, and that's like horrible, and that's stealing. I was like, no, I really don't want cheap people in my business. I want the people who are thankful for what we are doing, who are supportive, and if they think that that's too much for them, then that's too much, and I'm not going to argue. I'm not here to convince anyone that what I'm doing is worth the money. If they don't see that for themselves, then they are not my customers, and that's it. And I'm really good. Well, I mean, I'm not really good hearing that I'm too expensive. No one can be good at that. I don't think so.
Well, so it obviously shaped you to where you wanted people who value what you offer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the motorcycle people obviously did not value what you were offering, or they wouldn't argue with you and tell you your prices were too expensive.
Yes, but again, that's the no one tells you about this, but these business models negative side is that you only hear about the people if there is something wrong. So while as with the dog people, I see them crying when they see the images. Well, not most of my customers are not crying, but I see them being really passionate. I see them loving their pictures with the motorcycles. They put up a post at Instagram, and I love this picture, and that was the positive, and on which obviously your brain is like, yeah, whatever, take. And then the negative was like, yeah, it hit harder because there wasn't a positive to balance it out, so that wasn't good.
Well,
But
and I think, yeah, I mean, I have my clients are impacted by their pictures as well. And I think what I love about, you recognize that your clients love their images. And I think you're celebrating a connection with their dog
yeah,
and a bond that, whereas motorcycles, it was, it's a bike, it's not like they might think there's a connection there, but not like there is with the dog.
yeah, yeah. So that's why it was always touching when someone was like coming with their kids, coming with their partners the first time, then coming the 2 years again with the same partner, starting to come on their own, then getting a partner and bringing their partner along, and this kind of stuff. These were like always like really really positive experiences. Yeah, so when you are getting to know your customers at whatever level, I think it's always like it just makes a meaning for what you do, because yes, most people are just like passing by on the bike and it's just a nice memory of them. And but with the you probably know that motorcycling is not the most safe hobby that you can do. So a lot of the time we got emails that, you took the last picture of my dad,
Oh, wow.
house, whatever. And it was always really impactful, not in the good way. Not
Yeah,
in a good way.
right, right.
Not in a good way, but they were, so people, there is a saying in amongst motorcyclists that he died doing what he loved most. But it's, I mean, the end result is the same. He died. Uh,
Yes. Well, and
and
your clients must love you and the pictures you capture of their dogs, and I mean, just so beautiful, and that captures that connection. Now, do you
yes.
only do the dog, or will you do the dog and the owner and the family? Because I know some
I
pet photographers are afraid to photograph people with their dogs. Where do you fall with that?
I always want the people to be in the pictures. Some of them don't want to be in there initially. I try to find a way to convince them to be in the pictures, and I tell them that if you are going to hate those pictures, I'm going to delete them. You don't have to see them ever again. I just want to capture the connection, because that's what you are going to love once you don't have the dog anymore. Obviously, whether I say that or not depends on how the dog is. I mean, if it is an older dog, or if it is already an end of life session, then I'm not going to remind them that this one is coming. If they are a young dog, a puppy that has no care whatsoever, then I'm saying that because that's true and I believe it. I'm not, obviously I don't have to be that empathetic.
Well, and you don't, I know you're obviously not hung up on how to pose a human, because I know a lot of pet photographers are like, I don't know how to pose people, but You don't seem to have that. You just kind of went after it and said, yeah, you need to be in the picture, which I think is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I no, I don't know how to pose humans. I'm going to be very, very honest. I don't know how to pose humans. I don't really care how to pose humans. If a human wants to be in my picture, then they need to have at least one dog. So the focus is going to be on the dog, and I like those pictures when they look candid. So the walking up and down pictures, the picking the dog up. I like the pictures where there is not much posing involved, and if the poses are not perfect, then and they are not perfect, I'm really not too hang up on that. I want to learn more about human posing, but I don't think that's the most important thing in my business at the moment.
Well, and I think you made a very good point. You just capture those candid moments, which are unposed and they're not forced. They're natural, and that's really at the core of the connection between the human and the dog. So I love that you didn't overcomplicate it. You just kind of made it simple. So I think that's great. So let me ask you, you've been at this, a little over a year, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give the Diane of 18 months ago? Looking back, what would you say to her now that you've learned all this and look how far you've come? What piece of advice would you have given to her?
Oh, I think well, the most important thing
would you have told yourself just get over it and go for it? What would you have said? Believe in your work more? What advice would you have given yourself?
Probably it would be something like B- work is good.
B- work is good. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, because you just confessed at the beginning of the podcast that you're a perfectionist.
Yes, I am, unfortunately.
So B-, so it doesn't, there's always that saying, done is better than perfect. So
yes.
Well, speaking of perfection, let me ask you this. Well, I love that piece of advice. B- work is good. But if you're a perfectionist, how do you deal with the editing? Do you outsource that or do you keep it all? You probably spend hours on editing if you're a perfectionist, don't you?
Yes. Yes, that's no easy way to saying this. Yes. And it doesn't have that I like being a perfectionist at some level. At some level, I'm proud of it. That because how you do anything, it's how you do everything. So
wow.
I don't. I know that there should be a difference between an image edited for a competition and an image edited for a client. That's for sure. That's no question in my mind. But what I really hate people hearing from other people, other photographers, is saying that the client won't know the difference. And just because the client won't know the difference, it's not enough, not good enough reason for me to get sloppy on the white balance, for example. Yeah, I'm not going to edit out the last little hair if the print, if it won't be printed in large. But yeah, I want my work to be as good as possible.
Yeah, no, there's no shame in that. I love what you said. How you do that is how you do everything. Like that, that's really good. I think that's a great piece of advice. So now tell us too, you are a dog trick. I mean, I'm not a pet photographer, so I don't know, but you're a dog trick expert or something. Tell us about that.
I'm a trick trainer.
A trick trainer. Okay, so you train dogs to do tricks.
Yeah, well, I have a qualification to train other people dogs, and I'm really recently I'm toying seriously about the idea to do that. But at the moment, I'm only training my dogs, and they are both trick dog expert trick dogs. So there are trick dog titles, and one of the highest one. There are higher ones as well, but one of the highest one is is Trick Dog champion. Yeah, they are champions. Sorry, I even forgot what they
Oh
are. So
gosh.
they are Trick Dog champions. And how I like to describe it is that I train the most unuseful things to my dogs. So it's really funny. My this little Scotty Dougal can go in, can open the crate door, go into the crate, and close the crate door behind him himself. So that's really cute, but obviously there's doesn't make any sense to anyone to train that. The
No,
other one,
I think that's great. And but so this has certainly helped you when you're photographing dogs because you can read dog language, you can understand their cues, and that certainly helped you in your business today. Would you agree?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I can if a client is bit struggling with posing the dog, then I can definitely help. I'm not going to train their dogs at the session, and I'm definitely not going to make them feel that they should have trained their dog before, because if a dog photographer cannot train any dog, then they are not no good dog photographer. So I think that it's not the owner's responsibility to train the dog so I can take pictures of the dog. It's my responsibility to get the subject know enough to be able to take good pictures, even if they are not trained at all. And yeah, it might be easier if the dog has a reliable stay, but it's not. I mean, I'm not a professional for delegating my job to the owners.
Well, and I think a lot of people have that hang up that, oh my gosh, my dog won't behave for the session.
Yeah,
But that's you obviously put that concern of theirs at ease. And
yeah. The funny thing is that I don't hear this very often. What I hear all the time is that my dog is too quick to be photographed, and that's when I tell them that I'm photographing motorcycles for them. Your
oh
dog
my
cannot
gosh.
be
And
quicker than a motorcycle.
that's great. See, so there you go. That prepared you as well. You're photographing motorcycles that are going, lightning fast speed. I think I can photograph your dog.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
So as we wrap up here, is there one um, piece of advice that you've been given over the years that kind of sticks with you today? Whether it's a piece of advice you heard when you were younger, something you heard recently, is there anything that kind of, is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Um, I think that recently what I'm trying to implement is what Heather keeps saying, that just try, just do it, and then you can pivot, and then you can rethink and adjust. Because being a perfectionist, it's really hard for me just to throw out something and without overthinking it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that I really really want to go by this year and going forward. That trying out more things, and then either dropping them altogether, or just tweaking them so they are working for me.
Right. So just try it. So, we always talk about there's no such thing as failure, it's just feedback. So, say you try something new and it doesn't work, that doesn't mean if you failed, it's just feedback for what you can do differently. So, I love
Yeah.
that. It's sort of just, Nike, the shoe company, just do it. So, I think that's
Yeah.
a great piece of advice. Now, do you read a lot of books, business books, or is that not something you care to?
I'm listening to them. I'm an audiobook person, and
You're more audio. Okay.
yeah, and I'm listening to a ton of podcasts as well.
So, what would you say has been your favorite book to listen to so far? What is one book that you've taken the most away from listening to?
Oh Jesus, there were so many. Let me just have a really quick look at my Audible, because there are like a ton of books. Oh, I really liked John Acuff's book, the not the
All it takes is a goal.
no the one before, the soundtracks,
Soundtracks. Yep.
because I'm really, I have the, well, listening to his book are probably not the worst soundtracks ever, but I have bad enough soundtracks, or I had bad enough soundtracks. And I always thought that that's normal. And I always thought that if you treat yourself kindly, then you are going to get soft, and then you are not going to be motivated. And it's really interesting, because as a dog trainer, I'm a positive trainer, and I know that if that punishment and making the dog feel bad won't give you good results. So why would I do that to myself? So that's
really good. And I think you've obviously mastered some of your soundtracks in your head. So I do think you need to give yourself a little bit of positive reinforcement and say, good job, Diane, you're dealing with your soundtracks. You are definitely dealing with the soundtracks in your mind. So
yeah, I did his exercise, the new anthem, for, I think it was for more than 30 days. And it was really, really good. You know, I'm one of those persons who just listen to a book or reads a book and a podcast and normally does not implement anything. And when I realized that, I listened to that book like the third time or something, and I was like, I really should at least give it a go.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you may not be implementing anything consciously from the books you're listening to, but I'm sure you're implementing something subconsciously, because your success is evident. It proves that you are implementing some of these things one way or the other, whether you realize it or not. So I think it goes back to the positive reinforcement, and you need to give yourself a little bit of pat on the back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So let's say you and your partner have a free evening. What are you turning to on TV? I don't know what's big in the UK. Is Netflix big? Do you like documentaries, sci-fi? Like, what is your go-to if you have a night with your partner? What are you going to turn on the TV?
Yeah. So we don't have a telly. We don't have a telly for over 10 years. But
oh my gosh, that is fantastic. Like, I think maybe we Americans are a little too, I don't know, we call it the boob tube, because you just turn on, the TV. And so, okay, let me back that up. So there's no telly. What is your perfect idea of a night out? What would you guys do if you have
we still have obviously internet and Netflix, so it's not like we are in
in the dark ages.
Storage, yeah. So at the moment we are catching up with Fargo, which we used to love, and then somehow we fell off the wagon, and we just caught up with season 4, and now we are halfway through season 5. And with these series, I try to give myself the thought that I'm actually looking at them as well and getting like visual ideas of them. I know it's just like something to to give my perfectionist mind an excuse, but yeah. So I really like series and serials. Especially these mini series like Fargo, the first 2-3 the first 2 seasons were just like really amazing, and I love them. I obviously love The Crown.
Yes, we've watched The Crown.
Oh, and the Bridgertons as well, but I cannot get my partner to watch Bridgerton, so that's kind of for me.
Yeah, Bridgerton is more of a chick flick. It's kind of a girly thing. So yeah, I get that. Well, this has been great. So tell us, where can people find you?
So my website is dogsinfocusphotography.com. Yeah, I was hesitant a bit because in the UK a lot of websites end in .co.uk, but I actually don't own the .co.uk. I own the .com. So dogsinfocus.com. And dogsinfocusphotography.com, and Dogs in Focus Photography on Facebook, and Dogs in Focus Photography on Instagram as well. All one word and nothing at the end. And photography is very important, because otherwise something else is going to come up.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mind Circus. I'd love for you to share this episode and inspire someone else to become the ringmaster of their Mind Circus. I'm thrilled to announce that I'm now offering one-to-one business coaching. In addition to becoming the ringmaster of my own Mind Circus, I've learned a lot of business strategies being an entrepreneur for over a decade. If you're interested in one-to-one coaching, head over to my website, KarenBartosCoaching.com, and schedule a call. That's KarenBartosCoaching.com. Until next time, keep taming that Mind Circus.